Can you give us a breakdown on the defense? A lot of people had asked about the defense just in general, just a review of what it's going to look like this year.
Brandon, right there?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So
Go ahead,
I
Jose.
think the defense is going to look significantly better. And it's not because the personnel. I think the personnel is pretty similar. We did have we had significant losses with Nick Bonito leaving, Perion Winfrey, and Isaiah Thomas. I think those were, in my opinion, the biggest losses on this defense.
DTY.
Again, yeah, he left too, but I don't think he's as big of a loss as Nick Bonito or the guys on the defensive line. But what's going to be significantly different, again, to a comment I made earlier in the stream, there was a lot of missed tackles. The corners somehow were beat consistently on deep plays, either because either the safety was out of position or the corner just couldn't keep up with the receiver. I think, and then from when Venables came in, he mentioned that when he's talking to players that are returning to the program, the defense wasn't very complicated. It was extremely simple, and that's what Grinch wanted. That was his concept. Speed D, let's keep it simple and let's let them play free. It worked for a little bit, but it wasn't good enough to get Oklahoma over to the next level. Venables, being such a great defensive mind, he's fielded top 10 defenses multiple times in his career. I think he's going to help change that. He's changing the scheme to what he wants, and I think he's going to coach these guys to be a lot more aggressive at the point of attack when it's either at the tackle or going to knock the ball down, hopefully get a few more turnovers in the passing game. Those small changes, I think, are going to go a long way with this new defense and the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think the defensive line, I think, is actually going to be really strong. It's going to surprise some people. When you look along that defensive line, OU picked up a transfer from Tulane, Jeffrey Johnson. He's going to be the nose tackle. I think he's going to be really solid. And then as long as Jalen Redmond can stay healthy and play at that other tackle position along the defensive line, Redmond and Jeffrey Johnson will be extremely solid. They'll both be able to rush the passer up the middle. And then you look at the outside, you've got Ethan Downs, Reggie Grimes, Marcus Stripling. It seems like Marcus Stripling has kind of had a revitalization, at least through the spring practice and the spring game. He looked great. Reggie Grimes, he looks good as well. But Ethan Downs, I think Brandon's been really high on him, and I'm high on him too. But he could have a terrific season. The way he's practicing and his whole mantra and his work ethic can be seen. Jonah Loalu, he's a transfer from Hawaii. In the spring game, they saw, I don't know how close everyone was watching it, but he even went out and was covering some wide receivers and some tight ends for a few packages. It's going to be, like Jose said, there's a lot more variety in this defense. There's a lot more, it's a little more sophisticated, different looks, different schemes, different blitz packages. So you're going to see different personnel packages, not this whole rotating where guys are more tired running off and on the field than they actually are playing the game. Looking at that defensive line, it's going to be strong. Danny Stutzman's going to have a great year. I mean, if he has a great year, he could be going to the NFL. Shane Witter, I'm hoping that he's going to take that next step. Deshaun White should be there as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if David Owegbu has a pretty solid year. He really came on a couple seasons ago, and then it seemed like he fell off a little bit last year. And then you've got Woody Washington and Key Lawrence and Billy Bowman, and then another transfer in Trey Morrison. And even some of the freshmen. I mean, Jaron Canick could play some. Jaden Rowe could play some. There's a lot of depth, a lot of great athletes, and I think overall the scheme and the just the coaching is going to put these players in such better positions to make plays and excel at.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And you talk about the spring game. I think Stripling had one of the best springers. He had a couple sacks. I think Reggie Grimes had a couple sacks himself. A guy you didn't mention that I think could have a big year for us coming off the edge is Clayton Smith, former 5-star according to Rivals. He's got all the size, all the tools. I can't wait to see what Venables can do with him. Coach Bates on the line too. Just I think Clayton Smith can have a hell of a season coming off the edge for us, getting after the quarterback. You mentioned Jaron Kanek and Jaden Rowe. If you guys watch 2 Point Sports at all, you know how we feel about Jaden Rowe. We think Jaden Rowe can be something really, really special with his the tools that he has, and then he's got just great size, great speed, great length. He can kind of play almost anywhere on that defensive side of the ball under Venables. He doesn't have to be a corner. He can play at safety. He can play linebacker. There's a lot to be excited about for this defense. I think it's going to be a total 180 from what we've seen the past 4 or 5 seasons. It does start up front, but I think this defense can be nasty